Hey everyone, so I just wanted to do a little background video. Sorry for the movement. I just wanted to basically give my previous birth experiences, or share my previous birth experiences, and basically why I've come to where I am now in wanting to have a vaginal birth as opposed to a third C-section. So my only daughter, my first child, was born in 2008, May. She was born in May. And my labor was pretty normal. My pregnancy was normal. I've never had any major issues with either of my pregnancies. My labor started the early morning, like 3 a.m. of the day before her due date. And my labor progressed normally. My water broke on its own. I was dilating 1 centimeter every 2 hours or so. She was descending into the birth canal on her own. Everything was progressing normally. What happened was, when it came time for me to push, I had actually gotten the epidural, which I now regret, and I will try my hardest not to get it this time. But I couldn't feel that sensation to bear down. I couldn't feel the pressure. I couldn't feel anything. I was just basically doing what they told me to do. Push now, or blah, blah, blah. Don't push in your face, push in your bottom. And after about 2 hours or so, the midwife had called in the OB that was on call at the hospital, and they kind of evaluated me and saw that my daughter, was in the face-up position. So instead of coming out with, the crown of her head, the way they're supposed to, because they're supposed to be facing down, she was facing up and coming out with, this part of her head first. And after about 2 hours of pushing and her being kind of stuck in the birth canal, her heart rate started going kind of just crazy, I guess. And I guess she was starting to show signs of fetal distress. And the OB didn't feel safe using forceps or vacuum. So it was basically, they told me, push her out in the next 5 minutes or you have to have a C-section. At that point, it was over 20 hours of labor. I was pretty exhausted. I just wanted to meet her. And I was disappointed, but I just said, fine, let's just go to a C-section. So it was an emergency C-section. I got to have her with me in the recovery room. It didn't help with breastfeeding because I was so swollen from all the fluids and stuff that I wasn't really able to breastfeed her very well. She had a bad latch, and she ended up getting formula, and she only breastfed for 8 months, and she was primarily formula fed. So I was really disappointed with my first birth. I felt like my body had failed me. I was even mad at her because I thought, gosh, why couldn't you just be in the right position if you were just facing the way you were supposed to be facing? I could have had a natural, well, not natural, it wasn't natural because it was medicated, but it could have been a vaginal delivery. So I was really upset. Eventually, I healed from it. I dealt with it. I was okay with how it happened. I had the chance to labor, and I looked it up, and a lot of babies that are face up do end up in a C-section, and I was fine with it. I dealt with it. I came to terms with it. With my son, I wanted to have a VBAC, and I found a doctor who was supportive. It was actually fairly easy here in Colorado to find a VBAC-friendly doctor. It was the first doctor I came across, and she asked me if that's what I wanted to do. She wasn't as friendly as I thought, when I got towards the end. I was working at the time, and I started to have prodromal labor. I started dilating at 32 weeks. Nothing major, but they put me on bed rest because my job was an on my feet all day type job. So I was on bed rest starting at 32 weeks. In our country, in the United States, employers only have to give you 12 weeks of unpaid leave. So at 32 weeks, I was already using up some of these 12 weeks. So I felt like my time was running out. I got to 38 weeks, went to my appointment. The doctor kept saying, you could just schedule the C-section now. I don't think your labor is going to start, I don't know, it just didn't feel like she was really all that supportive, and I knew that my time was running out for my job, and I had planned on returning to that job. So I felt like if I want to have enough time with my son postpartum, I don't have even a week to waste. So fine, let's schedule the C-section. Repeat C-section at 39 weeks. I was upset because afterwards I went to go back to work. I had brought a doctor's note, and they said, oh, no, we terminated you. You were supposed to return this date. But because you didn't return, you were terminated. I had the doctor's note and everything. I was so upset because it's I could have waited. I could have had my VBAC. had I known that they were going to terminate me. And instead, I gave in to the job pressures and the time pressures, thinking I was going to return to work. And so I was very upset, and I honestly still have not dealt with that birth experience. It just was not what I had wanted. I didn't want, I had imagined for so long that I would have this vaginal delivery, and I didn't get it. And, now, here I am with my third pregnancy. They've been good gaps, There's been 24 months, and he was 22 months, so almost 2 years between my pregnancies and delivery, And so I feel like this is my chance. I don't have a job to worry about, oh my gosh, am I going to run out of, leave, medical leave or maternity leave. I don't feel pressured by that at all, and it's something that's really important to me because I don't see a C-section as medically necessary. It's more dangerous, and it can impact future pregnancies, and I want to have the right kind of birth experience. I want to feel like I'm in control of my situation. With my previous two, I felt kind of like I had lost control, It wasn't at all the kind of birth that I wanted to have, and so this time I'm going to try all natural, no epidural, no being stuck in the bed for 18 hours, laboring on my back, none of that. I want to be able to be active and have the birth experience that I want. And so for me, it's very important that this time I do get to have my vba2c. It's very important. If I have to, have another elective cesarean, I will be absolutely devastated, but I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. So, yeah, at this point, there's no medical reason why I should not be able to vaginally deliver a baby. There's none. There's nothing at all. I have not ever had any sort of complications. No placental abruptions, no preeclampsia, no gestational diabetes. Nothing. There's nothing at all that is preventing me from having a vaginal delivery. So that's one of the reasons why I know I can do it. And it's just an experience that I really want to have so that I can heal from my previous two unnecessarians, But, yeah, so just keep following my journey, and we'll see if I can get my vba2c. So, thank you for watching.